I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Slavi.
And Salty and Chip.
I was about to say that. Sparky. I said Slavi. This is Five Finger Death Punch. We haven't done these guys in a while.
No, we haven't.
So
Gone away.
Gone away.
Sounds like it might be sad.
So when we did Wrong Side of Heaven, everybody was saying you should listen to Gone Away. So took us a while, but hell yeah.
Yeah.
You'll notice we're rocking our Pink Floyd shirts. We are very, very close to publishing the full live listen analysis of Dark Side of the Moon. It's a little bit tricky because of all the copyright stuff, which is basically if you look at the actual live listen session, you'll notice that it got blocked. And basically what happens is because we play the song straight through without any cuts, there's a copyright strike. Well, I guess if you have like 5 copyright claims in one song, they just block the entire thing, which is what happened. So we're gonna have
to play it with no sound the last time.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that this time. We're gonna have to get creative and figure out a loophole within the YouTube thingamajig. We have an idea about what we're gonna do. We'll release that. We'll explain that to you guys in later videos. But this is Five Finger Death Punch, Gone Away.
Go.
Yikes.
Maybe in another life I could find you there, pulled away before your time. I can't deal, it's so unfair, and it feels like heaven so far away. And it feels like the world has grown cold now that you've gone away. And Hail Mary
Yikes.
He had some good vocals. I think he sings really good.
Yeah, he's a strong vocalist.
Yep.
Man, that guy.
Yep.
Now I see the correlation between this and the other one. The Wrong Side of Heaven one. It was the military one. It was about the vets who came back. Mm-hmm. So, of course, every vet probably knows somebody that died too early. So.
Yep. Wow.
There you are.
Yep. I like the part where he said Black Roses and Hail Marys. I can't bring you back what's taken from me.
Yeah, it's a pretty, it's a good line.
Yeah.
Very poetic.
Very. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I don't think that there's a whole lot to say about it. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, my it's an interesting line. Leaving flowers on your grave show that I still care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a very big funeral person.
No,
I'm not a
you're
very
not.
big, ritual ceremony person. So, funerals are always like a strange. I went to, obviously I went to my mom's funeral with my brothers and said whatever I had to say because my little brother was having a hard time even talking. But I think he messaged me one time. My older brother, yeah, because he was on before he was going on to his assignment or whatever, and he came over and you cooked for him and all that. He's like, hey, you know where mom's buried or whatever, and I was like, nah, and he kept like hinting that he wanted to go there. My little brother did too, and it's just not me, it's not. It's not me. So I don't think he actually ended up going. I guess he didn't want to go by himself. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of doing that stuff.
Why? Does it just feel like that's not them anyway? Because they're somewhere else? Or is it just you just want to avoid the whole thing?
I mean, I don't know. After 9/11 happened, I went down to New York with my brother, and obviously everything was still tore up down there. And he's like, hey, let's go to Ground Zero. So my mom, I think everybody went, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, I'm good. I went off with my friends, and we all went off somewhere, and whatever. I wasn't trying to go to Ground Zeroes at all. I'd rather, I wanted to do something about it, but going and looking at it wasn't the. You could still smell like it was a very, very strange smell, like around there. Yeah, it's like I'll never forget it. There's certain stuff that you just
Never forget.
Yeah, and we were there on. I forgot which stop it was, but it was just a weird. I was like, whoa. He's like, yeah, man. Like it's like that. It's like that for a while. It was pretty crazy.
Was it from the fire then?
Oh, it was a fire. The jet fuel was the building, and it was just this weird. Never.
Oh gosh.
I smelled something like that like one time after that, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm not a fan of like going to like the site of where a person's dead, like, because I know that people died at Ground Zero, like, and they were never recovered, a lot of them, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I'm not a fan of like, I'm gonna go step on ground where people died and what, like, I never really understood that, like, all the rites and rituals human beings have about,
I think it's coping. It's just ways that people cope with stuff. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to go to Ground Zero, but, like, I used to go... I'm not sure if it was healthy or not, but I used to go to my grandfather's grave and just sit there. I would, like, want to talk to him, but I was like, wait, he's dead. I can't talk to him. Like, that's a big, So I'd be like, oh, God, this is what I need you to tell my grandfather.
Yeah.
I don't think it was really safe to just go by myself in a graveyard.
Probably not. But but people have different ways of like trying to honor the dead basically, you know,
Yeah.
show I still care.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to show that you still care? Even as a supernaturalist, I mean, I don't believe that they're gone, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, it's just a weird thing. Like, I'm not a fan. I'll probably never go there. I'll probably never go to my mom's. Probably never do that.
Do they even know where she is? Or are
Yeah.
you the only one that knows? Oh, they do know?
Yeah, I mean, we all know where she is. I
Oh,
mean,
okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't like funerals anymore. Like, I used to be like remember when I said I was a kid and I was like kind of like wanted some excitement because I didn't
Yeah.
understand the loss. And then like I kind of became a teenager, and at that point when I would go to a funeral, I just felt like really heavy for the people. And now I hate going. The last one that I went to, I was like, I did not want to be there at all. It was like horrible. It was so horrible to see. Like I felt so like wanted to help the people. I wanted the person to still be alive. And you know what I was thinking? It's on topic, off topic. I was thinking about Vikings, you know, because all of a sudden, boom, we were at the end and we didn't realize well, I didn't realize that we were. I thought there was going to be more. And then, like, I was sad, like, all the characters and stuff that died. And, like, so I might have been thinking about that when I fell asleep. I'm not sure. Anyway, when I was waking up this morning, I was having a conversation with somebody and I was saying, like, all these stories, like, there's always death in the stories. And I know there's happiness, but there's also death, and the death is so sad. And then, oh, this made me cry. The person said, and I don't even know if I was having a dream that I was talking to Jesus. I'm not really even sure. But they were like, that's why the gospel is the only happy story, is because if we could see the whole thing as like a series, everybody dies, and then there's a resurrection of everybody, and then everybody's around the table.
yeah, Valhalla show.
Yeah, so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, but we never see that. Like, it's not like this. It would be cool if the story continued in Valhalla. So all those characters would be back. But
Yeah, and immediately all the cynics, oh, that's wishful thinking and blah, blah, blah. Go watch the other Fireside
yeah.
discussion. There's this historical person named Jesus of Nazareth that gives me pretty good confidence that that's not just too good to be true. But yeah, I mean, of course, for me, it's like, you know, like thinking about, because before, I've had two experiences with funerals where I was never a big funeral person, but I'm not a big ceremony person, period. I'm not a big birthday person. I'm not a big graduation person.
wedding.
I'm not a big wedding person.
We got married and like didn't do anything.
I'm not
Sign
that.
papers.
I'm not that guy. Like it's just like okay, you know, whatever. So funerals were in that category. I didn't see the real utility in it. And then, of course, somebody very, very close to us killed themselves, and then like I had to get, you know, my ex on the plane like that day. So it was like we were scrambling, and the kids were too small to travel and all this. So I just put my ex on the plane like an hour after we found out that, you know, her mom had died like that. Like she was on the plane, you know, going to New York to, you know, go bury her mom or whatever. And I remember I was really, really close to her, you know, because when we were kids in high school, and I was getting kicked out of my house because I deserved to be. She would take me in, and you know,
I remember you said she'd cook for you.
She cooked for us every day. It was like a routine. It was after school. We'd cut class all day, and then we'd go home, and then she'd come off work, cook, and we'd all eat chicken and rice and watch Touched by an Angel together. Like every day, we did that for a year. So like we were like really, really, really close. Anyway, and like I said in the other video, she'd like been systematically giving her stuff away to us, and then, you know, and it was the weirdest thing because so she was off in New York, you know, doing the whole funeral arrangements and all this, and I get this letter, and it's from, you know, her mom, and it's basically one of those like, hey, if you're reading this, blah blah blah. But it was so weird because it was her voice, and you can feel, you feel the person. I don't really know what that really means. It's probably all psychosoma, but like, you can feel the person there, and it's like, it was just so weird because I'm like, I got this letter, and it's very current and very recent.
Oh my gosh.
But she was able to bury her and scatter her ashes and all this shit. Like, she had a boundary ritual which gave her closure for she's gone. Whereas with me, it was just like, I don't think I was ever really able to like adjust to the idea that she was gone, because I got this letter and she's talking like normal, and I had talked to her on the phone like 3 days before, and blah 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 blah. So it's like, it was just kind of an untied shoelace type of thing where I'm like, oh. Then I thought to myself, I was like, okay, that's a ritual that's important. Birthday, I don't really care. Graduation, I don't really care. But the funeral thing, like, that's important because, it's like, okay, like, it's done. So then, when I lost my mom, it was like, my default was, I'm not going to that. But then, my brothers, I'm glad I did, because my brothers, needed me. And it was important for me to be like, all right. So, that stuff's important. That's an important ritual. It's probably the only one. Well, no, I'm not saying it's the only one that's important to me. I'm saying it's the only one where I get it. Like, I understand it, like, because it really did, like, mess with me for a very long time. Like, the idea that she was gone. I remember, like, waking up and, like, it was, like, the first 3 minutes of the day, like, I would come to this realization all over again. Actually, she's dead, because I never really was able to do that. I was never able to, because I used to hear people say, oh, I never got to say goodbye. I'm like, you're not going to say goodbye. Like, she's, nobody's saying goodbye to anybody. But then it was like, it's not that. It's just, it's really saying goodbye to yourself. It's telling yourself, like, it's over. Mm-hmm. Like, done. Mm-hmm. Like, it's over. And that's important. So, there you go.
Yep.
It is interesting though, because like, I've said this before, like, when the gospel stories about Jesus being dead and talks about burying him, and everybody just skips over that, because obviously the big thing is Jesus rose from the dead, right? So It's like, the cross is a big thing because Jesus died for your sins, but the resurrection's a big thing because, whoa, how did he pull that off? Shout out to the big homie Ben. But you don't hear a lot of sermons, you don't hear a lot of talks about the burial of Jesus, and I think that's a very, very important event, because it was them, like, saying goodbye. Like, these were people that were really convinced the whole thing was over. And that's what a burial is. A burial is a ritual that human beings across the centuries have concocted. However you do it, whether you put somebody on a boat, on a pyre, and whatever, and send them off. Like, we all have the sense that you gotta have a marker in your own soul to where you can say it's over. Yeah. So the fact that Jesus was buried is highly significant, because it's like, all of his crew, they were all saying, none of them were going around saying, oh, it's all good, leave him on the cross, he'll be off in 3 days, like, which is actually normally what happened. They just leave you on the cross and whatever.
But they had Passover, so nobody could be hanging out there on Passover, right?
Right. Yeah. But they had these mass graves that they would just dump people in.
Yeah.
So it's like, it wasn't like, but so, like, for him to be buried was a really crazy moment for those guys. And all of them, it's like, whoa, he's done. It's over. It's a wrap. And to go through that, it's pretty crazy. Which is why I think Thomas, the whole doubting Thomas thing where he's like, unless I see, I won't believe, blah, blah, blah. And so he kind of gets a lot of, like, flack, obviously. He's called doubting Thomas. Of course, none of the disciples believed when they heard the resurrection story either.
Right.
He was the only one honest about his lack of belief. But what's interesting to me is part of me is like, okay, some of it is doubt, but how much of it is I went through I had to work myself up to accept that he was gone through the burial. I'm not gonna
get all excited about a resurrection and then find out he's actually not there.
I can't do that. Like, he couldn't survive
that. The heart can
that.
only handle so much. Yeah.
Couldn't survive that. So he's like, I'd rather just believe that he was dead.
Yeah.
And just let it be.
Yeah.
You know, and if he's alive, well, come and show me. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, everybody, you know, he's dead. So, but it's very, very interesting to me. Like, the disciples are like, have such a real human reaction, because that's what I would have done. I would have been like, nah, I'm good.
I'd be running down and go check inside.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have done that.
I would have.
No way.
But I always feel, it's so weird, like anytime somebody like dies, I always feel like, well, maybe they're not really. Like, even like in the shows that we watch, when somebody dies, I'm like, do you think they're gonna come back to life? You're like, no, they're not gonna come back to life. But I'm like that even in real life. Like, after the person's dead, I swear, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, they're over there. And then I'm like, no my gosh, that's not them. Sorry, obviously not.
Good Lord. Yeah, the concept of a person dying before their time is it's probably one of the hardest. It's funny, we just literally got done watching this movie.
What was the name of it?
I don't know. Miracle Season or something, volleyball thing. And, these...
Based on a true story.
Yeah, these girls, and then their captain dies in a moped accident. And, like, these are all little teenage girls, you know, these are not hardened soldiers. Like, when you're going off to war, or you're in some agency or whatever, like, everybody knows, like, you're signing up to die. Like, that's it, you could die. Mm-hmm. And so it's terrible to tell an 18-year-old that their friend didn't make it out from the last patrol or whatever, but it's not the same thing as, like, 16-year-old girls in high school who are worried about pimples, and all of a sudden now they have to deal with the fact. Right. So I just remember we were watching the movie, and it was it's just one of those things where it's like, God, how could you put that type of a burden on these little 16-year-old girls in the suburbs? Mm-hmm. Not to say that, you know, anybody should have to handle that, but it's just like, young people dying. I feel like, I don't know if there's anything worse than that in the world, man. Mm. You know, parents having to bury their kids. Like, I don't think you get worse than that. You know, so it's like, watching, they did a very good job in the acting, I think, but at the same time, it's like, the story is so terrible that you don't really have to do a lot of acting.
Yeah.
You know, I would assume, you know? Yeah. So it's like, to watch all the kids, like, try to figure out how to live, and survivor's guilt, and how can you be happy, and I remember, you know, there's so many things that happen when a person dies, like, unexpectedly. You know, there's so many things that you go through as a person who loves a person who dies unexpectedly, that she died in a moped accident, so the dad was sitting down with the daughter, with the best friend, because the best friend was blaming herself because she was the last person she saw before she went off on the moped.
No, she was saying she knew that the girl was using the moped all over the place, so she's like, I should have told you that she was doing that. Yeah,
and then the dad was like, okay, well, if I wasn't so hard being against mopeds, maybe got her a helmet.
Right.
And said, okay, you can have a moped, just wear a helmet. Yeah. You know, he basically was saying we could blame ourselves all day.
Right.
You know, like, you know, and so, like, watching people have to figure that out, and, you know, it happened here, you know, where, you know, those kids, you know, they went to
oh my gosh. Yeah. Around Christmas?
Yeah, it's Christmas Eve, man. You know, they, it was funny, I was working with, we were all supposed to play, because Christmas Eve on Sunday, football was on Monday. We were all going to play football on Monday, which was Christmas, because we all had the day off, obviously, it's Christmas. So we all planned to play football, and then Tim was like, they had this party the Friday, so they had this party on Friday, and I was closing up for work, and Tim was like, hey, you need to go to this party with us. We want to see you smoked out, preacher. They used to call me preacher. They want to see you smoked out, preacher. And I was like, man, whatever, guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. And I remember, like, walking out of out of the office, and like I looked back at Tim, and then I walked away, and this line popped into my head. These kids think they're gonna live forever. And then, sure enough, so Friday happened, Saturday happened. I get a call. It's Tim. He's like, hey, Matt didn't make it. And I was like, I'm thinking,
To the game or
his parents, because we had the game the next day, his parents told him he had to stay with the family at Christmas or something, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, find somebody else, get Chris or whatever. Mm-hmm. We'll replace him. And he's like, no, man. And then all of a sudden I hear all this screaming in the back. And then, he explained to me what happened. Is Mike and they were all drunk and high, and like everybody in their car died, and they ran into another car coming this way, and everybody in that car died. 6 dead people on the highway at Christmas Eve. And I was just like, I remember it was Dorian's first Christmas. He was 1, he didn't, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. But all these, I had worked. I was gonna buy a jersey from one of them, and we were gonna play football with most of them, and I had played basketball, and my brother graduated with one of them, and
Yikes.
The guy walked right by me during graduation, the one that drove the car, and it's like, yeah. And then I'm good friends with. It's just a terrible story because I'm good friends with one of the guys that was in that crew, and he was supposed to be driving the car, but he decided to stay back, and now all 4 of his friends are dead.
He has survivor's guilt.
Yeah. Just all of you just like completely like,
Yikes.
It's a crazy, and that really messed with me for a while because I remember thinking to myself like these kids will live forever, and I'm like, what does that even?
Yeah.
Like, what's the significance of that? Like, it did nothing for anybody. It's like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of inexplicable stuff. I was looking at the comments and people were like, oh, you've got an answer for everything, Vin. It's like, no, I don't have an answer for everything. There's a lot of things I don't have an answer for at all. Like, at all. There's only a few things where I'm like, I know this is true. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus, he lived, died, he rose again. Like, that's true. I know that. The other stuff about kids dying in leukemia, and this girl dying, I don't know any of that stuff at all. I don't understand it at all. So, no, Vin doesn't have an answer for everything. There's a lot of things I have no answer for whatsoever. But at the same time, if Jesus did really rise from the dead, I don't need to have an answer for everything. Mm-hmm. That's I've got all my chips on that.
I was gonna say all your eggs in one basket.
I got all my eggs in one basket, and that's what faith is, right? Like you got all your eggs in one basket, and like I said in the fireside, there's enough circumstantial evidence to say it's a good bet. We got a straight flush. Is it possible to lose? I guess. You know what I mean? Like, that line was so crazy when he said heaven's far away, it stings, and that whole 1 Corinthians 15, death, where's your sting? Mm-hmm. Like, eventually all this will make sense, I suppose.
Because it says that in the end, death will be swallowed up in victory. So there will be no more death. And at that point, death will have no more sting. Death will have no more grip on us like it does now. But death has a grip on us because sin has a hold on us. And the Bible says the wages of sin, or the paycheck of sin, is death. And the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But it's tough stuff, man. Tough stuff. Good song. What do you give it?
9.8.
It's a solid 8 for me. Lyrically, it was good. Instrumentally,
it was repetitive. That's why I didn't give it a 10.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it was same thing again.
The instrumentally, it doesn't really look like they were trying to go anywhere. But again, I
It was
think
beautiful. I loved it.
I think when you have a guy with a voice like that, like it's hard not to just make everything just a scaffolding for his voice instead of
floor.
like, yeah, instead of just like we're gonna like, you know, like do something pretty, you know, different instrumentally. But it's a good song for sure. For sure. Would you give it?
I gave it a 9.8. I really liked it a lot.
A strong, solid.
It was sad. It had a sad feel to it, obviously, but it was good. Wholesome feeling, I guess.
For sure. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.